You're on S3, it is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, which is why we bring you people that make us feel good since the beginning of time. Honestly, I am talking about an icon, and she is somebody who continues to make sure that South Africans do feel good in many different ways. Honestly and truly, there is never any time to give anyone their flowers than the present. And I say that because we are sitting in the presence of greatness. I'm talking about a woman who embodied the character of Queen Moroka on Generations, on SABC1, and even to this day, people still call her Queen because she is the Queen. I am talking about Sophie Ndaba. Sophie, how are you?
I'm fabulous and blessed. Thank you so much for having me.
You look fabulous and
Thank
blessed.
you so much.
Thank you for being here, Sophie. I feel like this is like a childhood dream come true for me.
Oh, gosh.
Because you are such an icon. Can I ask you the most important question of your life, Sophie? Ezweni or New Horizons? Which one would it be? Which one was better?
Ezweni Communications.
Hello. Yes, Queen Moroka, baby.
Yes, honey.
You know, there are still people who call you Queen to this day, Sophie. Does it surprise you?
No, it's actually a blessing because, you know, not everybody has the same luck. You know, I used to watch a character called Sentaolele, and every time, I mean, she was like I had a crush on that woman. I was like, what? If I can perform at that level where when I walk into a room, I command that respect. She was amazing. So when I looked at Queen, I thought, I want that character that has got staying power like Sentaolele. Who is Matit? I was like, I'm coming for that.
Oh, and you did exactly that, Sophie.
Yeah, but in my own way, right? I created a Queen character and I made her own person, but I drew the energy from characters that I felt had staying power and had that power quality.
Oh, honey, and you had that power quality indeed, darling.
Yes,
because listen, when we talk about you and having that vision, I think it's so beautiful the fact that you made it come to fruition.
Yeah.
But also, how did you 100%, you know, also do that in the sense of just looking at how not everybody can do that these days. I think you and Pamela Nombete were the ones who made everybody believe that, listen, this is a villain. Listen, this is the sweetheart of generations.
Yes, yes.
What else do you think you drew on in terms of just really making people feel something and allowing them to believe that this is Queen Moroka?
I think a lot of full-figured women lacked a lot of confidence because it was always, I mean, I was a model before I was even a full-figured woman. So I knew the difference between the two to know, Uguti, if you're smaller, people in society think you're sexy. And then if you're more full-figured, you have a problem, you feel obese. And I just said, I'm going to sexify this full-figured woman. I'm going to make sure when she, you know, speaks to people, they're not listening to what she's saying. They're staring at her and they're thinking, wow, what is it about her? Is it her body language? So that's why I worked a lot on my personality, more than even on what I was saying, because what I was saying would work out anyway. The script was there. So I had to work on the persona, and that's what I built. I built it over years. And obviously one of my producers, directors, Frederick Stark, who's now late, would stand on the set and say, more. And I'd say, really, can I do more? Is it allowed? He says, do more. And that's how together we build the character.
I love that. And you know that there are so many women who literally speak to that. I think even an Anele daughter has mentioned that she was like, you were one of the first people that she saw and she was like, yes.
Yes, I can.
Yes, exactly. I think it's so beautiful that you did that for so many of us, myself included, Sophie. And
confidence.
Thank you for that. But I then want to ask you, because honestly, we're talking about a time when we had just gotten into having so many people of color on our TV screens and things like that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we've grown over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And let's speak about that. Are you happy with
Evolving.
the way that it has evolved? And, you know, do you think that we have more growth to do?
I think so, because I think a lot of South African talent cleave more to the international kind of ambience, and yet we have such authentic South African stories. And I think for me, this speaks to the producers, the directors, the creative directors, the conceptualizers, the script writers, people who are in the creative field of our industry. You know, those authentic people with the power to say, this is the story, and tell South African stories, because I think a lot of our young people look more to international. Yeah, it's good, they're more advanced, hallelujah. But let's tell our stories and then, you know, emulate the advancement of international trends. Yeah.
Come on, I love that. And we're starting to see that little by little, which is beautiful.
More stories, more South African stories. I mean, you see Durban, you see KZN selling their story, you see Northwest selling their story. So I'm loving that, because now we're telling our stories.
100%.
Yeah.
And Sophie, of course, you're somebody who has been in so many different kinds of, you know, parts of film. So whether it is a movie, whether it's a soapy, which one do you prefer, soapies or films?
I think now I'm in love with films. I've done soapies. I can always do soapies, no problem. But I think films, you can be a totally new character that has a very limited staying power, but you come in with a bang and you go out with a bang.
Yes.
You know, just like that. Whereas soapy, you develop. There's time to develop. There's time to grow.
Yeah.
There's time for levels. And in a film, yes, you can have levels, but they're bam, bam, bam.
And it has to be effective. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that. So then, with us talking about films, what's your dream role?
My dream role is a superwoman.
Yeah.
Not a slay woman, a superwoman.
A superwoman.
A woman who owns izinto zenzeke. So it doesn't matter what kind of superwoman.
Yes.
You know, she could be from a hobo to a superstar
I
of
love
her
it.
industry, whatever she's doing. It's not about always looking glamorous and looking good. For me, it's about telling that story that
Yes.
a person who doesn't have anything can be inspired by that superwoman and say, I can come from something to something, nothing to something.
Come on, and you've
Yeah.
shown us that over and over again.
Yes.
And this is why you need to make sure that you stay tuned to S3 family, because we got Sophie Ndaba in the house, the queen who reigns supreme. And we continue with her in a bit. Do not go anywhere.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
You're still on your Feel Good Breakfast show right here on S3. And earlier on, I told you about how we love to give the flowers to the icons that deserve it. And I'm talking about the likes of Sophie Ndaba. Yes, she is here having such a wholesome conversation with us. And we're so glad we get to do it together. But of course, we know that last year in November, we celebrated World Diabetes Day. And when I say celebrated, it is all about making sure that more people have awareness and have the information that they need when it comes to diabetes. So Sophie, I know that you yourself are a wellness and diabetes advocate. Please speak to us about why it's so important that we do push these conversations and have them around diabetes.
Remember, the Bible says without knowledge, the people will perish. I was body shamed. People didn't understand what I was going through. They didn't understand. I mean, I was a full-figured, sexy mama. And then suddenly here I am, this tiny person that looks like death warmed up, you know. And then there's the people who don't understand. They don't know.
Yeah.
They are now talking about it. They are now making a trend. They're now saying, oh, she's dying of AIDS. And because they don't understand, you know, what it means to live with diabetes. So it's very, very important. I mean, World Diabetes Day is just one day. Every day we need to give recognition and understanding of what is this disease, what does it come with, what are the side effects, what are the challenges that come with it. Is it a lifestyle that you should really be aware of so that you prevent it? So for me, my drive is prevention is better than cure.
Come on. And you see, when you're talking about your drive, we know, of course, that sometimes there are people who just aren't in the know. Like you said, without it, they perish. So right now, I'm talking about the fact that we are now having this conversation of World Diabetes Day last year, where it was about access to information.
Absolutely.
Do you think that we're doing enough?
No.
Sure.
No. We're definitely not doing enough. I mean, I sat with the Department of Health, I sat with the MEC, and I said to her, you guys, in my view, remember, I'm not here to scrutinize, I'm here to add value. And I'm saying, what can we together do to make sure we create more recognition, to make sure we even talk, because diabetes is that disease where people think it's only for old people. And that's just like it's a rumor. I call it a rumor. It's a rumor because it's not for old people. Even young kids are born with diabetes. Kids who are 9 years old are living with diabetes. They have to do insulin at school. They are mocked during break time. They want to hide when it's time for them to use their insulin. So, excuse me. So us going even into the education system, partnering with Department of Education, partnering with Department of Health, coming in as the ambassadors of this movement. We go and partner together and we make sure even kids in the school environments are saying, Chomiaka inali diabetes, Chomi, how can I help you? How can faintamo? If you can pass out, what can I do for you? A 10-year-old asking another 10-year-old, a 14-year-old asking another 14-year-old, Chomi, how can I help you? And because this is said to be a disease for old people, young people are not yet in the know. In the know, you lose a lot of weight very fast. You don't have an understanding. You are now mocking your neighbor and saying, "Oh yeah, you don't know that, you know, this person just needs support."
100%.
Maintaining their wellness, and it comes to what do they put into their body? What do you eat? What's in your mind? Remember, mental wellness is also a key factor that affects diabetes.
So you see, Sophie, this is why I'm so glad that you're doing this work, because there are so many people who need to be in the know of this. But of course, access to to information is part of having
Absolutely.
access to care.
Absolutely.
And that's what the main idea was about last year.
Yeah.
So can you speak to us about that? Because there are millions of South Africans who are living with diabetes and not everybody has that access to the care.
Well, remember, for somebody like me, I can only do so much, right? Rome was not built in one day. It was not built by one person. It's a collective. So I'm doing my bit. My bit is having Wellness Wednesdays on my social media platforms, on all my social media platforms. I've got Wellness Wednesdays where every day, every Wednesday, as a start, I mean, we're going to grow, right? We start somewhere.
Yes.
So as a start, on Wednesdays, I speak to doctors. I send messages. I send flyers. I just give information to those who need it. Other people will be bored and be like, oh, we want to see fashion, we want to see this. But that's why social media was created, for us to share information freely and quickly, so that you reach it. You want to know, oh, I can't see. Like I just had 4 eye operations last year.
Oh, wow,
my eyes are still healing, they're still swollen. You know, you have to really work with people staring at you and thinking, is she tired? Is she sick? No. At the back of my eye, things were happening because of what diabetes caused to my eyes. I was half blind. And now, I'm not saying I can see, but it's a journey that continues. So even when you think, oh, she's looking so amazing, she's a comeback queen, and I'm still saying the battle is still on and it never stops. That's why information is very important for those who don't have the conditions I have, to prevent them.
Yes. And Sophie, can you just speak to us, because of course, like you're talking about prevention, there are those people who have diabetes right now, but they're not 100% sure how to manage it. If you could give us just a couple of tips, what would those be?
I would say know your 5. You know, you're 5 pre-diabetic to know, am I pre-diabetic? If you're sitting here, do you know you're pre-diabetic? You don't know. How would you know? So it's about research. Know your body, know yourself. Take time, the same way you have take time to say, I want that shoe, I want that hair, I want this. Take time to say, how do I take care of me? Because if I don't have this engine, I can't operate and decide, I want to see this, I want to see that. So know your 5, know, Uguti, you're getting thirsty often, you're eating too much, you're getting blurry eyes, you know, there are so many signs. Stay long, they teach you to say, okay, I'm almost pre. And if you don't know, Google it. You know, go onto social media, go onto platforms like mine and get the information, and take time chilling on a Sunday and say, this is my Wellness Sunday, Gemina. Wednesdays I'm at work, I can't do this. So whatever I found on a Wednesday, let me check it out now to say, what is somebody like Sophie saying? What should I be eating? I've also developed products that are coming into the market very soon that are speaking to low GI. Understanding what you can still eat pasta, you can still eat rice, you can still eat, you know, all these amazing vegetables and fruits, but just know which ones to eat. Knowledge is power. It remains knowledge is power.
100%. And one of the 5 is also going to the bathroom more regularly than you normally do.
Frequent urination.
You see, I know my things.
You know your things. So
I've been checking myself.
So don't only take yourself. If your child is frequently urinating as a 10-year-old, as a 9-year-old, go and check. If you yourself, if your man, your partner, if your other partner is doing that, and your sister and your cousin, support them and say, I know this thing. I'm a sign. I mean, when I found out that I'm diabetic, I just got dizzy in a mall and I couldn't read the signs, and I was like, what's happening? And because my parents were both diabetic, I thought, oh, Gonja, these are the signs. So know the signs, know the signs. And the first one, the key one is really frequent urination and thirst, being thirsty a lot. That's a very big one. And obviously the blur. Once you become blurry, hi, darling, before you go for the optometrist, go for the test.
100%.
And the test in any pharmacy takes 1 second and it's free.
Thank you so much, Sophie. You're absolutely amazing, because I feel like you're doing such great work. And as long as we continue to follow in your footsteps, I think that the world is safe. And one last thing, are we going to see you on our screen soon?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Tell us.
Soon. I can't tell you the channel, but it's coming soon. It's coming soon.
Amazing.
It's a South African story. It's a kasi. And like I said, I've done the glamorous things. I've done all these things. For us, it's about telling stories, and South Africans must begin to buy into our South African stories.
Come on.
Yes.
I love it. Her name is Sophie Ndaba, and she will forever be an icon, one who continues to push the margin and honestly, like I said, be an example. You're still on S3 right here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso.